This amazing work of art is Angelo's Weekend Warrior Plus Nissan Y62 Patrol. It came to us pre-registration, and this is the walkthrough and handover video for Angelo. And stay till the end because we're going to go through all of the dollars that Angelo has invested in me and us and our team to achieve this high standard of vehicle build. So starting at the front here, we have a Rassler Engineering Gen 2 color-coded bar, and this is what we call two-tone. So it has the color-coded wings and center, and then black everything else. And I think it looks really, really smart, but it's not my responsibility to manage aesthetics in this relationship. That is absolutely yours. So, but we have 100 questions for you when we're doing these builds. Gen 2 means recessed. That's the most notable feature is the recessed horse fair lead mount, and that means that everything else is more concealed in the vehicle. We've got lighting system. We've got a steady 21.5 inch light bar and 3 Evo steady lights. We have 2 floods on the outside and a spot in the center. And you can see that these are different lights when you look closely. So you can see this reflector is parabolic. It's angulated or angular, and this is a conical and polished reflector. So he's going to have stacks of peripheral performance out of these lights, and in my brain that's what's the most important thing, is to get heaps of spread about your lights. He's probably going to still get 700 meters or something of decent lighting out in front of him, but it's the side that you've got to look at, because most kangaroos are dumber than house bricks, and they always come from the side. They never sit in the middle of the road waiting for you to hit them. They always come from the side, in my experience. So they're switched differently in the cab, and we'll go in there in a sec. This here is the heavy duty light mount. The standard Rassler mount will accommodate 2 lights, but as soon as you put the third one in there, in the center here, you start to get a bit of vibration. You get a little bit of vibration here, is a stack of vibration and shimmering out in the distance, and that's a bloody nuisance, and it's distracting, and in my experience it adds to fatigue, so especially on long trips. So that's important. That's an addition. It doesn't come as factory, so we need to add that to, we've had to add that to your build, Angelo. We have on the front here also Uniden antenna. It's coupled with a Uniden X-Track UHF in the vehicle. It's all concealed. We do have a second antenna for you. This is the low dB, and then we've got a higher dB antenna. And for you to take this off, Angelo, you have to come, Pancho, and show this grub screw on the side here. You have to take out that grub screw first, and then you can actually then undo the antenna. Don't try and take it off without doing the grub screw, because it just shreds the thread, and you'll be up for a whole new antenna base and wiring, RF cable all the way back through. It's going to cost you hundreds, and you can absolutely avoid that. Sticking here under the front, going down, you'll actually see that Rassler bar, new recovery points, by the way. So you can see that they're the horizontal ones, way better than the version 1 units that are on my vehicle or this vehicle behind us. You'll see over there. I don't know if you can show that without the bloody number plate, but that's okay. By the way, this has a fully functioning auto. This Rassler underguards, you can see also that it's my word sometimes. What I meant was a fully integrated auto transcooler. This is me just messing my words up. Don't cut it out, Pancho, because we never script anything. So Rassler 6mm alloy underguards. This is the diff drop version, and you can see there it has an on-track diff drop, and front locker in this vehicle. I really appreciate Rob's design here. There's less, it improves the approach angle there, less to get stuck on. If you're not going hardcore wheeling, you may not have any kind of issue with getting stuck on stuff. Into the engine bay, we have our battery bracket, and I really appreciate the time and effort that my team put into making this part look really, really lovely. It just shows that they've got pride in what they do. At the front, and this is orange. Orange means that we have fitted this ourselves. If you buy it from the online store, you'll get a black one, and that just shows you that you fitted it and we didn't. So we've got the winch, the Nava winch isolator. So effectively that's in the off position here to the left hand side, and to activate the winch you've just got to move it to the green section, 90 degrees clockwise to activate it. We have here the installation instructions. If you do want to fit the battery bracket yourself, we actually have an instructional video, and the steady light relays on the side here that we provision the bracket with them, because it makes sense to put them there and not a tech screw somewhere else in your bloody guard. Tow Pro auto reset circuit breaker, spotlights and light bar, so they're separate circuits that I mentioned earlier. They're switched separately in the car too. Compressor, which is actually located in this vehicle on the passenger side up the back of the engine bay. That is an ARB compressor. The outlet sticking up there, that bracket is actually from the 4x4 mechanic in WA. Thanks, Ash. Really appreciate what you've done there. It's a pretty cool bracket. It's well thought out. It's fairly time consumptive and fiddly to install, but I think it suits the purpose. And hi, Caitlin. Thanks for following us on TikTok. Really appreciate you. So we've got the compressor MIDI fuse, and then we have an SBI MIDI fuse, and SBI is down the back of the vehicle. It's hard to show you, but that is effectively an ignition controlled circuit, Angelo. So it means that if you have any current draw from your caravan, that it's not going to drain your main battery. That's really, really important in the scheme of things. And we also have here the Kangoe battery system, which is pretty special in this vehicle, and we'll get to that in a sec. But that's where the MIDI fuse is for that. We have done the bonnet latch relocation, because when in a TIL, that switch is normally in this location where the battery bracket is mounted. So we have to relocate it to that side, and it's just basically a wiring harness extension over to that location. So that's pretty straightforward. We also have here a bracket for the pressure sensors that my bloody clever team have concepted, designed and printed. And so you can actually see this here? So that 3D printed bracket basically holds the switches that's needed for the to run the compressor properly. Run the pressure sensors properly. I never script anything. You know that, right? I didn't talk about the GVM, did I? Okay. 4.2 ton GVM pre-rego with front axle upgrades. So on this vehicle, we have increased the front axle load from 1650 kilos to 1750 kilos. The way we do that is by the installation of appropriately rated axle components. In this case, it's the upper front control arms. And as you see, they're fairly heavy. They're a fully fabricated unit, heavy design, load rated plenty high enough. I would actually like to see any engineers who've done some testing on the lower rear control arms to see what they are capable of withstanding. So anyone in the GVM space, engineers, chime into the comments. If you know anything more about axle loads, please comment below. We have here FX8 bronze wheels. They are a 20 offset, appropriately load rated, and they're bronze. And I love these wheels so much. I fitted them to my own vehicle, and I even painted the bar work, my hoops and the rear bar, the same bronze, FX8 bronze. So you guys, just thanks for bringing out great coloured wheels, because everyone's done black before. So we're getting into different colours and machined and stuff. So Maxxis all-terrain tyres, and pre-complied with 35, 12.5, 18s. 35s are not legal fitment on Y62 Patrol post-rego, because they exceed the maximum threshold of 7%, 7% of the largest wheel and tyre combination that's listed on this vehicle. So if the tyre shop's trying to sell you 35s for your Y62, tell them to bugger off, because they're not going to be legal, but we can do it pre-rego. We've also got slimline fender flares to keep the compliance where it needs to be. And what that also does is, especially off the front tyres, is it helps stop mud and stone flick up the side of the vehicle. Because if you like your paint work, I think it's important to protect it as much as you can. We'll get down the back in a sec, but come back up here, Pants, because I wanted to talk about safari snorkel. We do way more safaris than we do anything else. We do J-Max snorkels. They're the only snorkel safaris. They're the only Stano snorkel that will fit, because of how much material you don't have to remove from the inside of this fender. I would love it if you amazing people at Safari would give us the new head design, because that would be great. I think it'll fit the design ethos of the vehicle. So Safari team, give us the new head design. That'd be great. Clearview next gen mirrors for compliance stuff, Cat 6 indicators. So that's bloody important too. And no need for a roof rack in this vehicle, because Angelo just doesn't need it, and we don't want to do it if he doesn't need it, because we care about the outcome, not the transaction value. Underneath the back of the vehicle, we've got a 140 litre long range fuel tank, done pre-rego, complied, engineer compliance certificate, all pre-rego. That's important. You can see there the heavy duty lower rear control arms and heavy duty springs. Color-coded coils. Airbags are super important. In fact, they're critical in Nissan Patrol, because ride height, suspension geometry, caster issues as soon as you lift this vehicle. As far as I'm concerned, this vehicle has a beautiful stance. It's kind of menacing with the 35s, but it looks absolutely beautiful, and I'm really happy with it. We have a diff drop in the rear of the vehicle to combat CV joint boot wear. The more you lift these vehicles, the more those CV joint boots come into contact with themselves, and as soon as you include mud or dirt and rubbish onto those CV boots, it's like sandpaper grating itself to death. As soon as you lose a CV boot, you lose your grease, and then other contaminants get in there, and it just shreds itself to bits. The sun is beautiful. There's a bit of coolness in the air. Bloody winter in Sydney, but life is good. Look at the sky. There's hardly a bloody cloud. Life's good. Rasa rear bar with twin jerry can holder. And Rob's made some changes here, moved this around a bit to give us more space to put our sticker. Thanks, Rob. We've got our wiring harness here that we take out of the bar, not from underneath. Like, we don't just try and jam it through. So the team goes to a fair bit of effort to make that wiring, I guess, as pretty as it could be. There's the camera relocation. The camera gets relocated from the back door down to there. And that's a time costly part of this whole build. rewiring that whole thing. That relocation kit is from Rob, but it just takes a fair bit of time actually to deploy. Spare tyre carrier. This is required for mounting a 35. You can't reliably get a 35-inch tyre underneath this vehicle, so we've got to relocate it. I'm aware of a conversation with a client who asked us for a quote for a build, and he said, can you match this other person's job? And I said, what someone else charges is none of my bloody business, but I understand one of the components why this other place was cheaper was because they only quoted 4 wheels on this pre-rego GVM upgrade. You can't bloody do that. You need 5 wheels. You can't use your spare tyre with these, you can't use the original spare wheel as a road going wheel on a GVM upgraded vehicle if wheels are part of the compliance process. So they might be cheaper, but it's not bloody right. We got interrupted by my extremely industrious Craig. He just needed to sort stuff for clients and he didn't care as much about our filming, but let's get back into the back of the vehicle here. I mentioned earlier in the video, this is Weekend Warrior Plus. Weekend Warrior type vehicles don't typically have storage or electrical, or extra fuel systems either. But this is a plus because it has a bit of storage, so spare tyre carrier, jerry can holders, it has extra fuel, and it has here electrical and a false floor. So this false floor is pretty special. It's special because we've worked with Tash and Hayden from RV Storage Solutions to achieve something that I'm not sure has actually been done before. And there's a couple of reasons why I think that. One of them is that we've managed to retain all of this storage that's under the floor. We've actually been able to increase this underfloor storage. We've been able to retain the jack and toolkit in its original location. And we've made the floor a bit taller to increase that. That was a natural byproduct. That wasn't a design requirement. But what we've actually done that's actually really special is that we've been able to fit 220 amp hours of lithium power underneath the floor. So that took a bit of bloody doing, let me tell you. So 220 amp hours, there's actually two slimline Kango batteries underneath the floor there. All of the electrical system, everything is mounted under the floor onto a really robust and vibration resistant subframe that connects the rails and that support the floor. It connects everything together underneath and provides a really, really robust system that gives us places to mount heaps of electrical stuff. So that's absolutely fantastic. The other thing is that this floor is actually that meets the requirements for being ADR compliant. And I'm sure Hayden can chime in and get more involved in this topic. But the reason why we've collaborated with Tash and Hayden from RV is to retain the ADR compliance. Because I was worried that in the event, of like a motor vehicle type accident or a single vehicle situation where, there's a vehicle rollover, that all of this stuff is going to remain attached to the vehicle. And, we've worked with some manufacturers that have plywood mounting systems. We've worked with companies before who have 3D printed plastic legs, and they're just non-compliant. And I know that I'm just worried that they might fail in the event of an incident. So we worked really, really hard to achieve this. We're still making improvements. The improvements that we actually want to make, and I'll show you, is down the side here. I think that this could be improved. So this could be a bit tighter on the panels. I don't think functionally that there's going to be anything wrong with it. So this profile here and down the back here can be improved, and we want to do some different stuff with tie downs. I reckon it looks bloody great. I'm not concerned that there's a bit of a lip here. There's about a 25mm lip here at the front. Does that bother you, having a lip here? Do you think it looks stupid? I don't care, but I want to have a conversation with you. We've got some custom outlets here. So we've got an ANGELO. This is the first time I've looked at it, by the way. I saw the brief. SIG plug, dual USB-A's. Do you guys still use the USB-A, or are you using something else? USB-C? Tell me in the comments below. Let me know what you would prefer in your build, whether it's USB-A or USB-C. We have got a redback exhaust underneath the vehicle. As far as redback goes, there's a bit of an issue with redback exhausts. And if you have a redback exhaust system, I'm asking you now to go out and climb underneath your vehicle and check the bushings and see, check the condition of the bushing and see if it's deteriorated. That was part of the reason why my exhaust failed in the Simpson Desert, 11 kilometers from Cameron Corner. That was a fun time, but it failed because we lost a rubber mount, and that caused further damage to the exhaust header, and that's why ultimately it actually failed. So tell me what you think this vehicle build cost was, and I'll reposition myself, and then we'll talk about that. But I've just got to deal with a client because he needs my attention. 1 second. Thanks, Andrew. Andrew's going to wait for us. Andrew, he's going to wait for us. Thank you, buddy. So this whole build, from front to back, all of the things that we've discussed, all the bar work, the lighting, the electrical, compressors, UHF, GVM upgrades, color coding, snorkels, diff drops, underguards, diff locks, long range fuel systems, rear bars, electrical, exhausts, engineers compliance, false floor, batteries, the whole build. Angelo's Weekend Warrior Plus, a little over 77,000 Australian dollars. And there's going to be some people in the comments who freak out because they just don't understand what goes into this. There's going to be some of you guys who think it's completely reasonable for this really, really high quality outcome. And that's great. I love having conversations. Tell me what you think this should be. Tell me if you think it's reasonable. Tell me if you think it's unreasonable. Tell me if you think I'm a weird big-nosed dickhead. I don't care. I like having conversations. If you're here now, thanks very much for tuning in. Really, really appreciate you. And we'll see you on our social media.